Welcome to part 3 of the series. I took January off to rest and be in winter, and now I'm back, and I'm so excited. And what feels the most alive for me to share with you right now is about grounding. And I've heard that word a lot around, so I wanted to chime in my few cents. So let's dive in. What does grounding mean? The way I feel it, grounding is one aspect of harmonizing our energy. And we know when we feel grounded. We know when we feel grounded, we feel solid, and we feel comfortable, we feel rooted, we feel stable, like a tree. I can't knock it over. It's big, it's rooted, it's strong, it knows exactly what it needs, it knows how to get it. There's that feeling when one is grounded. And when one is ungrounded, that can feel like being anxious, detached, lost, forgetting things, just kind of wandering around, flustered, uncertain, unsafe. It can be headache, tension in the body, maybe jittery, maybe antsy, just really uncomfortable. It's not being able to settle, unsettled feeling. And it's not to say that these are bad things to feel, because I don't believe that. It, however, can be pretty hard to live your life when a large part of it is experienced in this state. The good news is it doesn't have to be that way. So I'm going to share with you a few techniques to ground. And by all means, this is not an exhaustive list. These are just a few ones that I was connecting to recently, and I thought that I would share them with you. And what I'm finding more and more truth in lately are the elements. So I'm going to be putting this in a framework of the elements. And if that is foreign language to you, by that I mean air, earth, water, and fire. Okay, so I'm going to start off with air. And what comes to me when I think of grounding with air is breath. So breath is the air of our body, the cycle of air and flow through our body. And sometimes when I'm feeling ungrounded, what that can feel like for me is this concentration of pressure or energy right up here in my brain. And it's just all up here. There's nothing anywhere else. There's nothing I can feel anywhere besides just right here. And so to breathe to support that pattern of experience, you could breathe and send the air up to your head. So when you inhale, it's up here. And as you exhale, imagine that air flowing down to your body, down your tailbone, and then down into the earth. So it's like coming up to this tension up here in the head and pulling it down back into the earth. And just doing that a few times and feeling that cycle of air through the body. And that could be something that can support you. And another thing in air is music. And I know that music is not technically air, but it kind of feels most like that to me, as far as this vibration that travels through the air, right? So connecting to music at a time when you're feeling really kind of detached has been supportive for me. And the type of music that you choose is of utmost importance here as well. So not probably be the time for the rap or the booty shaking and it depends. It depends what you like and what brings you back into your body, I guess. So if it does bring you back into your body, then do that. For me, what I like at that time when things are feeling like way too tense is something that allows me to relax, because that's what I'm having trouble doing in that moment. So I'll connect to some relaxing music, but something that's uplifting as well. Sorry, I'm recovering from COVID right now as well. So just a little bit of phlegm left. We're all good. Where was I? Yes, music that brings you into your body. And if you have instruments that you like to play or like to create sound vibrations with, that can be really supportive in these moments, just to make those vibrations, create those vibrations yourself. So that could be things like a singing bowl, if you've seen those, if you have chimes or drums or piano or any way that you like to make beautiful music. Okay, that's air. Now earth. Well, earth grounding, like that makes the most sense, right? Because grounding is that sinking felt sense feeling, and earth is that. So there's a lot of ways that we can connect with earth to find that emotion. One of my favorite ones is connecting to the trees. I was just talking about how trees have that rooted, deep sense of groundedness, and they're willing to share that wisdom with us. One way that I like to do that is to find a big, beautiful tree, or big wise one, and just sit on the base of its roots with my back up against the trunk, and then just breathing in that, and just kind of pulling up from the roots as well, and just asking for it to show you and to share with you some of the wisdom of what it's like to be still, of what it's like to be rooted and grounded in one particular spot on that plane. See what happens. Another way to connect with earth is, I think they do technically call this grounding in some ways. I call it walking in dirt. So with your bare feet, walking in the dirt or the grass or the sand, if that's near you, or the forest floor, as long as it's a safe piece of ground for your feet and it's natural. I would say probably not, AstroTurf or maybe concrete if it feels good to you, but preferably something natural and pure, earth, and your bare tootsies. And just allow yourself to feel through your feet the movement of the earth, the vibrations of the earth, the temperature of the earth, moisture, and minerals can be transferred through the feet in that way as well. So fun. I love walking in the grass. I would do that during my lunch breaks when I worked in corporate world a few years ago. And I would go outside and just walk. There was this little patch of grass that I would just walk around in circles in. I have no idea what people thought when they saw me doing that, but it was exactly what I needed to do to keep myself grounded in that experience, in that aspect of my life. Okay, another idea that I have for you is movement. And so this is not exactly grounding with the earth per se, but kind of just like grounding into the solidness of your body. So to me, the movement of the body brings the awareness out of the head and into the body. And there are many movement techniques out there. Think yoga, Pilates, any other techniques of moving the body. I'm not an expert on those, so I encourage you to seek out guides in particular strategies of movement, and they're all great. What I can invite you to do is to let go of attachment to having to do anything perfectly, because the point here is just to open yourself up to remembering what it feels like to feel grounded and rooted and secure and solid. So that could be what I'm envisioning when I say that is just allowing your body to flow, moving with your body in whatever way feels right to you, and putting your awareness, instead of hyper focused up here, down into your body and how it moves. And let your movement be a prayer of that intention to be grounded and to remember. And see what happens with that. Another good one with movement that can really, that I've used, it's been really supportive, and I've found through research with other books that I would love to give credit to. The one that's coming to my mind right now is Waking the Tiger by Paul Levine. And that is about trauma release in the body. And he talks about the strategy of shaking to reset after a traumatic event or a near-death experience in animals. And that's what they will do when they come back. They'll shake it out. And I'm going to share a quick story. I was kind of thrust into running a farmer's market booth on my own. And there was a lot of new things that I got to do that. And one of them was backing up a truck. Never driven a truck, never done like a 3-point backup turn. It's not like my greatest strength, let's say. And I was also running late to set this booth up. So I was feeling a lot of pressure of like, oh my goodness, I don't have any time. I gotta pack everything up. I don't know how to 3-point turn. I gotta back up. So I was feeling like very anxious, and I was not alone actually that day. That was the last day of my training before the next week I was going to be completely on my own. So my guide, Johnny, was like, oh, you can do this backup turn. Prove it to yourself right now. I'm like, oh, okay. So I did it. I was very anxious, and I was having trouble like coming back after going through that. I was having trouble coming back into my body to, set up the table and interact with customers and be fully embodied and cordial and in service. So I went over to the side of the truck, and I just started shaking it out just with my hands. You can't see them, they're just shaking, starting with my hands and shaking it out, and just letting the rest of my body move with that. Breathing like in deeply, and really just a couple of those shakes and I was back. And I was like, oh, okay, there we are. Let's do this. And I felt really re-energized to do it. So like I'm saying, I'm not just making this stuff up. I use this and it helps me so much. I would love to share it with you just to see if it helps you too. That's the shaking and the energy release in that way. Okay, we got 2 more elements, as you know, water and fire. So water first. We are mostly water. I'm sure that you've heard that before. And so it's so vital to our health, physically, mentally, emotionally, energetically, spiritually, in all the ways that we are, to have our water flowing freely and in harmony. So when things get backed up, kind of like a kinked hose, what happens when a hose is kinked is that there's pressure at that point where it's kinked, and there's buildup there. And it's just not flowing. So things get pressure up here, and then they're kind of just like, nothing's happening over here. So things aren't really connecting and things aren't flowing properly. I really strongly feel blockages of water in my body, and that can be manifest in little pieces of pain, isolated pain. That can be in just feeling thirsty all the time. That can be in I feel drawn to take a shower, or drawn to connect with some blue crystals or blue, or, things like that. So whatever feels right to you to connect and just allow things to flow through you in water, invite you to do that. And I mean, obviously drinking plenty of water fresh, clean water, spring water, preferably spring water coming from the earth, infused with all of her natural minerals and without all of the chemicals and additives that come through the tap. This could also, a great way to remember how to be like water is to watch water, right? So if you can go to a river or a creek or a lake or in the ocean or a beautiful body of water near you, to observe how she flows, that could help you remember and help the water in your body remember how to flow as well. Last one, fire. So when I think of fire, I think of smoke. So that can be things like burning herbs to cleanse, good herbs to burn, whatever you have growing near you, making a little bundle with them. I like rosemary, mint, lavender, and then all of the other sacred medicines that we get to use when we need them. Like those would be the white sages and other types of sage. Being careful with our sourcing there because those medicines have been over harvested. And other types of incense. I'm not going to put an exhaustive list here. Things like copal and myrrh, frankincense, and such. And next, warmth is like in hot herbal tea. Non-caffeinated, we don't want to get things buzzing. Calming herbs like chamomile. Wow. Speaking of that water, my throat is really, really parched right now. I don't have my water right by me, and I should. Tulsi, rose, and bitter herbs. If you're feeling like you're too floaty, bitter herbs can bring you back into your body, and that would be things like dandelion root, St. John's wort if you're not on any other medications. Bitter herbs, dandelion leaf to a certain extent, just things that taste bitter. Coffee, but again with the caffeine with that. You can do chicory root, burdock root. There's lots and lots of beautiful bitter medicines. Then one last thing with fire that I wanted to share with you is the fire in your own body. So a lot of times when we're looking for tools, these are things that are outside of ourselves. But the biggest truth is that everything is actually inside of ourselves. All of these 4 elements are inside of ourselves. That fire you can make just by rubbing your hands together. And rubbing your hands together, you can feel the warmth that you create right there in the middle of your palms. And that action brings your awareness to here instead of up here. And that is what I have to share with you today. And I wish you all so much love and so much grounding as we are here experiencing this life as a human. It's so cool. And if you have ways that you love to ground, I would love to see them down below. Share it with all of us. Share the knowledge, share the wealth, share the love down in the comments below. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you for embracing your sensitivity.